Hi, I'm Steve, and I wanted to go over with you a new plane I got. It's an old plane, actually. This is a Stanley number 7. It's made in Canada, and it looks like a Type 15 as far as I can tell from the little website that told how to figure that out, which was probably made in 1931 or 1932. So I'll be using this to smooth my workbench top. And it looked pretty clean overall, but somewhere in the past it's been rusty because I can see some pitting and where someone's cleaned it off. So on the bottom it was fairly smooth, looked pretty good, but there was some little parts where it was a little rough and had some areas of metal sticking up. So I'm going to flatten this, and I already started actually. The blade's removed now. And when I got it, I noticed there was dozens of little nicks along the top edge, and the angle of the blade is kind of way off, so I'm sharpening that up, and I'll have it ready to go pretty soon. So I'm not an expert at these, but I'll just show you what I did to, I think, make this a better plane and ready to go for some flattening of the workbench top. I was trying to figure out the best place to smooth this, since it's pretty long. I didn't measure it, but they're supposed to be about 22 and 22.5 inches long or something like that. But my jointer table is kind of long, and I didn't want to scratch that up, of course. So what I did was take 3 pieces of sandpaper and taped them together underneath so no grit or anything would go between them and get underneath on the jointer table and scratch that up. And then you can't have a piece of sandpaper in the middle of what your flat surface is to flatten the plane. So I put strips of masking tape along the whole thing, so it's just one flat layer, and I was very careful not to even overlap just the tiniest little bit, because that would be a bump and I want it to be perfectly flat. So I got that all set up, and I'll show you here in a second. And of course I have the blade removed for this part of it. We don't want to be scratching that up, so it's totally gone out of here. And I've started already, that's why the sandpaper is a little black. I have a mask I'm going to put on because breathing this is probably nasty and not good for you. So it's a little longer than the plane, and like I said, it's masking tape all along underneath, very smooth, so it's all one flat surface on top of the joiner, and I don't think that will scratch the jointer table up at all. Basically just holding it onto the table and trying to get that flat and smooth. To remove the blade in the plane, just pull this lever forward and then move this up. You don't have to loosen the screw, this should just stay the same. That's only to tighten how much pressure, or loosen how much pressure there is once you tighten that up. So then carefully pull the blade up and make sure you don't hit it into any of the other metal. And it comes out like that. So the chip breaker is this piece that has the little curved end, and it goes within a millimeter or even less of the edge of the blade. You want it really close. You can pull that off by loosening this screw. And then you pull it straight back like this, away from the sharp blade, so you're not hitting that accidentally. Then you can turn it off and then move it up to this wider hole and just leave the screw in like that. And that's the blade. This bevel goes down when you put it back in. usually your logo is stamped at the top and you would see it up here at the top. So that's one way to know which way it goes. So to put it back on, you just put the head of the screw through the hole, slide it up so you're not getting close to the sharp blade. Tighten this just slightly. And then move it up pretty close. And put it back in here. Make sure that's kind of lined up in there. And clamp that back. To check the blade height, you can sight down. Not sure how this looks on the camera, but you can sight down from here, coming down, and you want to just barely see the blade come up, and it should be even too. You can adjust the evenness by doing some, well, by eye, and adjusting this lever back and forth. And once you start cutting, if it's thicker on one side and it's doing more removal on one side, you push this lever over towards the side where it's doing too much. You can also, on the blade depth, pull it back so it's not cutting at all, but so when you slide it along the wood it's not doing anything. And then start moving this forward, which lowers the blade as you're going along the wood until it just starts cutting. You want to make sure you have this turned clockwise forward when you do your final adjustment. If you've pulled it back some, there's some play in here, and if you leave it where it's been pulled back and that's your final adjustment, the blade will tend to go back up until it hits the adjuster again. So you always want to go forward on your final adjustment, so it's holding the blade down. Well, thanks for watching. If you liked this and would like to see other shop videos of mine, like I'll be finishing the workbench top hopefully coming up. It's all together on the floor right there, and it just needs to be smoothed, and then here's 3 of the legs glued together. I need to glue up one more, and I'll be hopefully in the next couple months getting that put together. So subscribe if you'd like to see more of those, and hit the like video if you liked it. Thanks a lot.